To start off, we would like to show you some artifacts from before the First Nations had contact with the Europeans.
Drums were carved of wood and had deer or moose hides, which were stretched over the frame. Drums were created in many styles and shapes and were used in ceremonies, rituals, and entertainment. Many referred to the drums as the heartbeat of Mother Earth. It is used in many spiritual and sacred ceremonial practices. Some say the beat of the drum has the power to change natural elements, including the weather. It is believed to be able to heal sickness and even have the power to send messages both to animal world and to spirit world. Snowshoes made by Algonquin and Huron have a classic teardrop shape with a rounded upturned toe and a long tail. Usually made of hardwood, like ash, and strips of raw hide, which is denuded animal skin, used as webbing material. The animals from which the webbing material was obtained were usually moose, deer, or caribou. Snowshoes were used so that traveling during the winter time was more efficient and would make it easier for hunting animals and gathering materials. Depending on the terrain of the area, snowshoes were made into certain shapes such as round ovals, teardrop-shaped, or even very long and narrow designs. Masks were often made out of a single piece of wood and were shaped with traditional tools like bone and rock. Some masks, like the Hamatsa raven mask, had movable parts like the beak would open and close. A mask can represent a characteristic or an animal and is decorated with paint, feathers, fur, straw, leather, or leaves. Larger masks require that the dancer have considerable strength in their neck, shoulder, and legs so that they could perform dances in a difficult squatting position. Their masks were an important part in a dance and represented a character conveyed by the dancer. Many believed that the person wearing a mask was taken over by the spirit that the mask represents. Masks were most often passed between family members of a specific clan. They could be inherited or gifted. They were just one sign of a person's status and rank, which were important to demonstrate within Kwakwaka'wakw society.
Europeans' effort to get rid of the indigenous culture, they forced the First Nations children to practice the European beliefs. The Europeans believed in Jesus, so the First Nations had to go to church and had to read the Bible. They weren't allowed to celebrate their own religion. Instead, they were forced to stop celebrating it and were forced to learn about Jesus. Peoples like to keep their hair long and braid it as part of their religion. Their beliefs about long hair is tied to earth and nature, much like their other beliefs. Many indigenous people believe their hair is a visible manifestation of the growth of the spirit, and some say it allows for a connection to God. Some tribes even believe that their hair is connected to the nervous system and pulls in knowledge from the world around them, much like superpowers. Many native tribes cut their hair to show that someone close to them has died and that they are grieving. The hair is a representation of the time they had with their loved one, which is now gone and over. Residential schools took that away from the kids, so they won't have that connection anymore. The residential schools tried to take away any indigenous heritage, and they did so by starting with children and cutting their hair. To trade between each other and didn't really consider trading with other countries or going long distances for trade. The Europeans came and they introduced many efficient transportation methods for long travels, such as the horse and ship. The ships made it easier for the indigenous people to trade with others from different countries and places, and the horses made it easier to travel on land. These were just some of the very few changes that the Europeans had made on the First Nations.